the big news yesterday, the Indianapolis Colts went to the mothership to find their interim head coach, Jeff Saturday. Dan Orlovsky, an analyst at the mothership, joins us on the program. Where were you when you heard the news, and what was your reaction to Saturday getting the job?
I was on my way up to Bristol to ESPN. I had gotten a little bit of an inkling that something was going to happen. Not necessarily knowing exactly what, but it was going to be big NFL news and something unlike we've experienced before, we've seen before. And, Dan, like when the news broke, my initial thought was, wow. And then I work with Jeff 2 days a week, and I'm constantly in conversation with him. And my brain went back to all the conversations that he and I have had over the last 6 weeks. And in the moment, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But as yesterday unfolded, I was like, oh, now it all makes sense. We would have these really detailed conversations about what was going on in the NFL and, teams that were doing things well, teams that weren't doing things well, scheme, philosophy, identity, coaching, all that stuff. And, kind of when the news broke, it made a lot more sense why and how we had those conversations.
But why Jeff Saturday?
Why Jeff for the Colts, or why Jeff?
Yeah.
I think the obvious thing is his relationship with Jim Irsay, right? He's got an emotional attachment to the place. They decided to move on from Frank. He's obviously been in conversations about that role in some capacity, with them, and or at least intimated that he would be interested in it. Him and Irsay are close. He's probably got pretty significant backing from other notorious Colts as well. I mean, Reggie Wayne is on their coaching staff, so I would imagine Reggie would be somebody that would be stumping for Jeff. I would imagine Peyton did as well. So, the emotional attachment, I'm sure, is part of this.
Okay, but we talk about experience and paying your dues and being a coordinator, doing all the grunt work. Jeff played, but now you moved to the head of the line and now you're a head coach in the NFL. How big of a leap do you think that is for somebody who has no prior head coaching experience?
Massive. I mean, massive. We're talking, going from kindergarten to, your freshman year at Harvard. It is a massive leap. I think the reality too, Dan, is, Jim Irsay, this is the assumption game, right? He sat back with John Fox, ex-NFL head coaches on staff, and Gus Bradley. But Jim probably is sitting there going, I'm not hiring a defensive-minded person. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Right? The number one goal is we're going to try to get as close to the top of the draft as possible. And we need to fix the quarterback situation post Andrew Luck. So everyone's saying, well, not those guys. Why not those guys with head coaching experience? He ain't going to hire them guys. Like, there's no chance that he's going to hire one of those two. That's my assumption. So let's give it to this guy who's an offensive player, all that stuff. Because it may be he surprises them and he keeps the job. It's a massive challenge, though. I mean, he's got to go, because the players aren't dumb either. The players know a big reason why he got that job is because of his relationship with Mr. Irsay. That doesn't mean he won't be capable of it. So it's a big adjustment. It's a big challenge for him to step in front of that room and try to lead them through some, dark days of 2 months of football left and trying to win and compete and keep jobs. And let alone not having anybody on that staff who has called plays. They don't have somebody, Matt Ryan, maybe, Nick Foles, but those are the only two guys that have at least some feeling for that.
But now it's tricky. He loves Jeff Saturday. He wants him to come in. He thinks he's the right guy. But you just said they're really preparing to be bad so they can get a top draft pick and finally get their quarterback.
Yeah. I think that's a real thing for the Colts. I think I was on that 2011 team when we ended up getting the number one pick. I think we went 2-14. No one remembers that. Everyone remembers the fact that they got Andrew Luck. And then they had that run of years. And, oh, my gosh, the Colts are going to be great for the next 15 years. I think Mr. Irsay sitting there going, I need a quarterback. I've tried to do the whole really good roster and plug and play the quarterback thing, and it hasn't worked. And we know this class coming out of college football is great. So, while I think it's a big challenge for Jeff to try to go in there and win football games, I think Irsay is intrigued by who Jeff is and all the traits and or skills that he believes that a head coach has got to have. And no matter who he was going to hire or put into that role, the reality is that he wants his quarterback and he wants to do everything he can to be in as good a position as possible to go get that one.
I'm wondering if we take all the analysts at the mothership, did Jeff Saturday offer you a job to be the quarterback's coach with the Colts?
Not directly, no.
Not directly. What does that mean, Dan?
Jeff and I have had conversations about coaching. You know, we've had some really good in-depth conversations of like what coaching looks like. What's the good? Who are the good ones? Who are the bad ones? You know, my interest level in it, where I am in the present moment. So I think like Jeff was gathering again. That's when I look back and I'm like, aha, you know, like. I think he was gathering kind of a feel and information without revealing some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. I texted with him yesterday, hey man, like good luck, go crush it type of thing. And we decided to touch base later. So no, he not directly offered me anything. No.
Okay. You're giving me a real answer here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of joking, but you gave me a real answer. I appreciate that. Will you lobby to join in the Colts staff?
No, I won't lobby. You know, I've made myself pretty clear to Jeff. You know, I want to coach one day. I'm very much so interested in it. Candidly, as the days go on, I get more and more interested in it. You missed that part of football. I love what I get to do at ESPN right now. I love working for a guy like Jimmy Pitaro. I love working with the people I get to work with on a daily basis.
But
if Jeff, I have a lot of friends who are coaches in the league. They all know, you know, we talk all the time. So they know where I stand.
Talking to Dan Orlovsky, the former analyst for ESPN, as he gets ready to join the Colts coaching staff. How about I get all of the Booger, I get Swagoo, I get Rex Ryan, Mina Kimes can come in as well. And
Mina would be the number one on the list.
Everybody comes in and joins the coaching staff with the Colts. How do you think that that coaching staff would be?
We wouldn't have the number one pick then. We would do too well.
Okay.
No, we would have a lot of fun, right? I don't know if everybody's ready for that lifestyle, you know, but I don't know if everybody's ready for it to be criticized like we do on television either.
Okay, a couple other things. I'm watching Lamar Jackson last night.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I don't think there's a quarterback that's asked to do more for his offense than he is.
Yeah.
And he somehow, it's pretty remarkable. They don't have running backs. They don't have wide receivers. He doesn't have his great tight end. And somehow he, made it work on the road.
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say is if I were the Baltimore Ravens and he's healthy, I would not let OBJ out of my building and or off the phone. Because I think they're one of the 7 real Super Bowl contenders, Dan. Real. I think there's a group of 3 and then a group of 4. They're one of those 7. I think it's really hard to win the Super Bowl now that Bateman has been injured. I think it's really hard to do it without one of those guys. And if OBJ is healthy and looks like in 4, 5, 6 weeks, he could be like I don't know if we're going to get OBJ playoff run, but like a darn good presence and player, man, because I think this is one of the scariest teams heading into the back stretch here. They're 6-3 and they haven't even played a B game this year. They've played mostly B-C games. They haven't put one full game together. Lamar is the Allen Iverson of the NFL. You sit there and go, how all the time does he get that done? And he's such a competitive talent. Last night he was really good at playing warm rather than playing hot. A lot of times quarterbacks, when we're hot, meaning more guys are coming than we can protect. The ball's got to come out. Well, he played really warm, meaning there's bringing 6 and I only have 6. So somebody's going to lose at some point. So getting the ball out of his hands, the situational run game was really good. He's a superstar, like, and he hasn't even played his A game yet there this year, Dan. So like, again, if and when that comes together for Baltimore, man, they are going to be very much so in the main picture at the end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought they were my dark horse to go to the Super Bowl, but I thought
Yeah.
they would have some weapons. I thought the defense would be better. They just got Roquan Smith, so that certainly helps out. The situation in Buffalo with Josh Allen.
Concerning.
Yeah, so the owner nerve, if he was a pitcher, this would be a big deal. How big is it as a quarterback?
Naturally, it's a big deal. I mean, that's everything. And we're halfway through the season. This is a team that thinks they're going to be playing into February. And one of the things that we've always felt as Josh has ascended is if Buffalo has to play at home, we kind of saw it last year versus New England, like they're at a distinct advantage because of the arm strength that he can spin it and cut it through the wind. So like you feel that takes away a little bit of their advantage. And then you're like, well, how much is this going to impact his talent? Because one of his specialties and makes him indefensible is how much he can aggressively push the ball downfield. The hesitation I have to like the overreaction potential is the last throw of the game Sunday went 69 and a half, 70 yards on the move to his left. Now, maybe that's adrenaline. Maybe that's blood flow. What's going to happen if it settles down? All that. How's it a couple of days after? So like, while I'm like initially concerned, I can't get that throw out of my mind. And so I kind of want to wait to see what the report is today to really get a feel for it. But if it's something that is real, yeah, that's massive, massive to Buffalo.
Can you manage your arm as a quarterback? Like a pitcher might rely on a different pitch that he can't go to as often if he's got, tendonitis or, some kind of injury in there. But I don't know how you do that as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you manage it during the week, obviously, and you treat it.
But in the game itself, there's certain throws you can and, you will or
I think
won't.
that's hard, Dan. And I think it's especially hard for him because if I was going to tell you one thing that I guess was a Josh Allen and I'm like flaw, setback, drawback, whatever, he is wildly competitive. And sometimes that gets him into trouble, right? And so I think it's really hard for him to like tame his competitiveness when it's the fourth quarter of a tie ball game and he's got to throw a 17-yard outbreaking route from one side to the other and he's off his back foot. Like he's going to throw it as hard as he possibly can because that's what he's done for 20 years, So I don't think that you could like kind of reel in that wild stallion, so to speak, in those moments.
Great to talk to you as always, and we appreciate your honesty and your insights. But I do think coaching is in your future, which will be a big loss for the mothership. But I could see that happening. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, brother.
That's Dan Orlovsky, football analyst. You can catch him on NFL Live weekdays at 4 Eastern. That escalated. I'm like, let me throw this out there. Maybe the entire staff at ESPN takes over as the coaching staff with the Colts. And then Orlovsky talked about wanting to be a coach and talking to Saturday, and I could certainly see him as an offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach. You watch him when he's diagramming plays. When he and Ryan Clark go at it, offense, defense, it's great TV.